Hello? I know you're out there. I see you now. And just know that I didn't start this, but I do aim to finish it. With great power comes great responsibility. And the time has come for those of us who've been seeking power to rise. So while you've been sitting there laughing at us this whole time, just know I haven't forgotten. I've been taking notes this whole time. And tonight is the night that...
Anybody else ever count the amount of spam they ever get in their inboxes or even in their spam folder, I guess? I was just thinking about this, the amount of spam I get for being an author, just for being an author. I'm not even talking about the filmmaking stuff because I get spam for that too, believe it or not. There is such a thing as filmmaker spam as well. But the spam I get for being an author is crazy amounts. They're all the same. Hey, pay us $40 and we'll get you, actually, really, honestly, now I think about not only authoring, but being a YouTube, TikTok creator. I mean, I wouldn't call myself like an influencer because that's kind of a stupid term, personally, I think. But for being on TikTok and YouTube, this also applies, and it's like, give me $40 and you'll get like 5,000 followers. We'll get your book out there and tweet it or retweet it 500 times. I didn't count. I stopped counting after like 42, but I had 42 spams today, just today, this morning, of those kind of things. Places I've never been, people I've never met, if they're people at all. They must really spend a lot of time trying to find me. I wish they would go to my site and subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and comment. That would be great. Post your bullshit spam on there. I don't care, but it's crazy to think about that, right? And I've never done any of these. I've never done the buy the Twitter retweets or buy the followers or do that kind of weird stuff that they do where they say, oh, and we'll run a Facebook ad and we'll target. I mean, I can run my own Facebook ad. I've done that enough times to kind of know that I'm doing something right, at least. I've done a lot of those. I haven't spent a lot of money on those. I've been pretty frugal when it comes to those because, again, how much is that real, right? That's my concern with stuff like that. How much of it is real and how much of it is going to get you in trouble with YouTube, with TikTok, with Facebook, Instagram, all those things. I think about like all of the dead accounts they must use, all the spammy accounts they must use to fill that guarantee that they have. Guarantee, right? I mean, it's just a crazy idea. I've been playing around though with trying one just to get an experience about it. I don't know if I don't really have $40 to just throw away, but Maybe if I find one that's like $10 or $20 running a special, maybe I'd give it a shot and see what comes of it. I don't know. Maybe I'll get completely wiped off the social media map, and have to go off the grid for a while. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy weird to think about, right? Uh, I've built everything I've done organically, and I'm not going to do this. I'm not gonna do this stupid things. I'm just curious. I'm curious if anybody out there has ever tried it. I mean, we've all been young once, right? We've all been first time authors thinking that this sounds like a pretty good deal, right? Especially when you're young and especially when you're new in this game and you only got 100 Twitter followers, right? Or anything like that. You know, I have to think that there's some people out there who've thought about it. I mean, I've looked at them, but I've never explored them beyond the, you know, and it is what it is. So anyway, are you saying that I spout bullshit, Rebecca? I don't understand that comment. Uh, but hello, Anita, Katie, Rebecca, and I believe Vanessa's with us in Facebook land. But yeah, I don't think I could find one of those either. But welcome to Joe Gets a Little Twitchy. I just thought I'd just start going because I got a lot to say tonight, and it's kind of just like or I'm saying don't eat organic fruit. Okay, I don't understand, but sometimes it just doesn't understand. Hi, Deidre. Nice to see you, my friend. Uh, I can never tell with me, she says. I don't understand that either. But okay. Regardless, it's just curious. I'm just curious. How many have you found in your spam before? Has there been an absorbent amount? I mean, have you tried to count it at one point? Have you tried to filter it before? I've done that. It doesn't work. They just keep coming. I think they come more aggressively when you filter them into the spam folder, actually. But and I've checked the spam folder, and they get around it, or whatever. But it's just interesting to me. As you can tell, I'm changing things up a little bit today. I'm on my phone, and because I liked the way this looked, but also our internet here has been a little spotty, so at least I have my phone data backing it up, and I've got enough phone data because we reset tomorrow that I can go ahead and just use it if I need it. So I won't. Hopefully, I won't glitch out on y'all if that happens. But I thought I would. I'm testing out my new phone tripod too. My phone is actually, see, I'm hands free. My phone is actually sitting on a phone tripod that I actually got for when I went to the award show because I thought maybe I could run 2 camera setup, and it was just too tight. I couldn't put this together, so I didn't ever run this. I should have run it for late night news that I did down there, but I just didn't. Uh, Plus, I have to do too much on the screen with late night news, so here I can just let it roll. I obviously just had the intro and everything, so but you know, so I decided I'm going to move the background, move it around, and show you a little bit of a different spot. And I'm sure some of you have seen it off to the peripheral before, but these are my windows that lead to a walkway out there. But nonetheless, I just thought it would brighten things up and change things up a little bit. So welcome to Joe Gets Twitchy. I see some. I have a spam email address. Nice, awesome. I filter them straight to the trash folder. Yeah, I do too. Most of them. I gave up though because it's just too much. It's kind of like what we were talking about before that, where we were doing something and we gave up on. I don't remember, but I haven't checked my author email. I probably sent you something in there, Deidre. No, I'm just kidding. I did. I haven't done a newsletter in probably a year. Even if I don't even know if you were even subscribed to me in the newsletter, to be honest. But regardless, I haven't done one, so you're not missing anything. Um, but yeah, so it's just interesting, and it kind of leads me into my first rant topic that I was going to talk about before I ran into this today. It was algorithms, because I'm at my wit's end with these algorithms, especially when it comes to viewing. And you know, we've done a lot, all of us, to get the comments up and the likes up. You guys have done a fantastic job with that. I virtually have a comment or a like. I definitely have a like on every single video, multiple on most of them. And the comment section, there's a few that don't have any, but there are some that do, and most of them have multiples because I do try to answer as many as I can. Sometimes I don't know what to say, so I have to figure out a canned answer or something that would be nice. There's some weird ones out there. But trust me, if you run through the comments like I have, you'll see that there's some people who leave some weird messages on the comments, which is very interesting. Uh, I don't, I get flabbergasted sometimes by that. I'm kind of like, whoa, okay. That's what you think. Great. I'm happy for you. And I almost say that, but maybe I should. Maybe I should just put that in the comments. Uh, yeah, thank you for watching. Yeah, I'm just not a canned answer kind of guy. Katie says I should say thank you for watching. Yeah, it's probably the best one to do, right? Uh, and yeah, it's just interesting to me because you know I have a site that I go to that measures my YouTube usage, right? The usage of outside, people logging in, looking at my channel, just looking at it, and then playing a view or two. And it's interesting because it doesn't measure up to what YouTube is relying to me in their analytics. And I don't feel like just I'm gonna call them out here, but I just don't feel like there's something amiss here. There's something, and it is probably a lack of transparency on what constitutes a view, right? But also what constitutes a rotation into the featured section of YouTube. If you read the things about YouTube and how they operate and how it works, right? And how the algorithm is supposed to scale and work for you. And it does say very often that they cater to the small creator. So you can take that with a grain of salt. I've read that comment by them in their actual how it works sections several times, which we all kind of know is kind of bullshit. I mean, we just all know that right off the bat. They cater to the ones that are going to get the ads to play longer. That's who they cater to because they're about making money, and rightfully so. This is their platform. This is how they make money. This is how they do it. But is it a beneficial tool to be transparent for them? That's well, I guess I'm kind of off there. What I mean by that is there's really no benefit for them to be transparent about how they measure a view, how they measure an idea, and how they rotate it, and how they measure your watchability, what you watch, and cater to that aspect. I think a lot of times monetization sites, the monetized aspect of the site, the people who are monetized, they definitely get preferential treatment because they can run ads that will not only pay YouTube but pay them, and they have an incentive to make those ads work for their audience. So they they do a lot of things to cater to that aspect of their model, and the algorithm as well. I'll get to the clickbait stuff that I see everybody talking about in the chat in a second, because there was an interesting experiment. I don't know if you all saw this, but there was an interesting experiment done about clickbait, and I'll talk about that in a second as well. I know you all. I'm going to leave you on the edge of your seat with that one, but the idea, right? So how, if you want to get monetized, how do you get to that point, right? And then once you're there, are you really gold? Because there's 1.7 million YouTube channels that are monetized. So, and then they decide whether or not your monetization is worthy of them paying you. So they really police that aspect of it. I know a lot of monetization. I know a lot of monetized sites that are constantly belabored by the idea that they've used a curse word, right? Or they've posted a picture that they weren't supposed to post, for literally a second. Or they said a name that has a trademark behind it, or a copyright, infringement idea, which those are a suitable, understandable. If you violate the terms of service, you violate the terms of service, and that's actually a very understandable slap. But again, those are very broad and vague, and not as transparent as you'd like them to be, until you get served, and then you find out how much in detail they really have written down. Because if you've ever gone through the process of appealing, you know that they send you a bunch of jargon to kind of confuse you and set you aflutter. And it's really interesting, their approach to that idea, right? But the simple fact is you can't get monetized if you don't get seen, and you can't get seen if you don't get engagement. And engagement includes views. They count watch hours as part of the criteria for monetization. They actually changed that criteria just recently. That was about 4 or 5 years ago that they decided watch time, because creators were doing what I was just talking about, buying followers, and they couldn't prove that every follower was a defunct bad site. They've done a good job of filtering a lot of those out, and that's one thing they've been really good at. Their bots are really good, but their bots are very rigid, and they accidentally cut some people where they shouldn't have. It's happened. We all have a mutual friend that got the same treatment on TikTok. And TikTok is very similar in the way that they approach things. A little bit different social media, but much the same. The way that they run the algorithm through YouTube is very similar. And there's a reason for that, because the two of them are really competing for the same eyeballs. So TikTok was very smart. They figured out how YouTube ran their algorithm. They started with that, and they honed it in and refined it and made it better for them and what they do in their platform. And they have since, juked and jived and got it to where they like it and what they want to do with it, which is crazy, because it just is out of whack, because there's so many people on TikTok, and it just really screws up. That's the problem, is there's just too many people trying to get too much of that 50 cents that is out there. And it's been one of those things. And so, I struggle with this a lot. I don't like asking and begging people to come watch my stuff and comment and like, hey, it's there. You like it or you don't like it. It's totally fine. Hey, I understand. It may not be your cup of tea. It may be something you're really interested in. I've been more and more, when I know a friend of mine who might be interested in that subject, been tagging them and asking them, maybe this is something you'd be interested in. I've been doing that more and more, and that seems to be okay. But getting somebody to actually physically watch it is the patience that I don't have, because you can't expect everybody to do it on their first day. And it just can't. It's just impossible. We all have lives. We all have different things. We all have things that are backed in our queue already that we're trying to watch and catch up. And we're never going to catch up. It's just like our to be read list. It's just not going to happen. I have the same problem. I have a ton of things that I want to watch that I have queued up in my watch later file that I can't get to. And I physically want to watch them. I do often think about just running them at night so that you guys get the view and the like and everything like that. But uh, that it doesn't benefit me because I really do want to watch it. I do want to support it, and I want to talk about it, and I want to comment, and I want to do all those great things that I expect. Because if I can't ask that of you if you don't get that from me. That's how I always approach it. It, I want. Plus, I want to do that. And if you don't reciprocate, it doesn't. I don't worry about that. That's not something I worry about. So I really don't honestly worry about all this, but I am putting a lot of effort into these videos. I'm doing a lot of work, and I really am super proud of what we've done in the last 18 months. I think the work I've done in the last 18 months has been phenomenally. It's night and day compared to what I did 4 years ago when I first started, obviously. But it is also it's gotten the bug for me to make film again. It's gotten the bug for me to create on my own again. And I couldn't have asked for a better gift. That's an awesome gift to have. And it's also gotten me more involved in other people's stuff, like reading more people's stuff and finding more people's stuff and learning about more people's movies and seeing more movies, getting more music and getting more, art and all of these things, and getting cultured and refined and enriched by everything that has been coming my way because I've opened this door. So I take all that in, and that is my reward. Uh, you know, what I loved, what I've realized is that I have to sacrifice certain things for other certain things because I want to do it full time. I would love to be able to do it full time, but I just can't. I can't live like that. Uh, so I have to do it when I have a chance, and I do work a lot. I work hard on these things, and so you know the benefit of that is not shining through with the view count, but the engagement I couldn't be happier with. I've never not been happy with the engagement because usually when somebody watches my video, they watch it almost all the way through. I don't have a low view per video on anything I do, hardly anything I do. There's some that have kind of reached the spam level because of a certain person in it or something. And those people come and they just click on it and then they watch it like minutes at a time, which is fine too. I don't, whatever. And there's certain videos that are much longer and you watch segments of it. And I totally get that too. Like for example, my red carpet thing. People are just watching their segment or telling people to watch people they know to watch their segment, and I've segmented them out for that reason. Because I know that's what people are going to do anyway. Even if I hadn't segmented out, they're going to find a way to just share that moment. So I just figure it makes it easier for everybody if I segment it out. It doesn't take me very long to do that, to be honest. So I think that's a good tool. I think that's a nice thing to do. I think it's the right thing to do, and I do that. So I just really love that, interaction, and I love the engagement. And so I just wish, sorry, I just kicked the tripod. I'm getting used to being so close here. I just wish that I had a better understanding of views, and you're not going to meet anybody who hasn't read almost seen every video about it. I've done that, and I don't think anybody has a clear grasp on view. So the clickbait thing, let me get to that clickbait thing. So that there was a study done, and it was done through Twitch, YouTube, and I believe Vimeo, if I'm not mistaken. It was one of the weird ones. It wasn't TikTok because you can't do long form video on TikTok. I want to say Vimeo, not Vimeo. Yeah, I think it's Vimeo. And they played the same video at the same time and used four different clickbait words that were very, very popular on each channel, on each social media site. It wasn't Facebook either. Um, Damn it, Joe. Thank you, Rebecca. I was very happy to see that I wasn't getting blamed for that, for whatever happened, whatever that you blamed Robert for. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you saw that response or not yet, but I thought, I was very happy. And finally, damn it, Joe is, maybe leaving the lexicon. No, it never will. It shouldn't. Anyway, so they did this experiment and they used clickbait words, and then they did it 3 consecutive nights, and they switched the words around, and they saw what they discovered was the idea was the words didn't matter. It didn't matter the words. What mattered was the thumbnail picture. So they used the same thumbnail picture one night, then they switched them around and used the clickbaity thumbnail picture that was associated. Like they used whatever they were doing clickbait on YouTube, they used that on Twitch. They used that picture on Twitch, and then they used whatever they were doing on Twitch on the YouTube, and then they did it wherever they were. That's the clickbait picture. So if they were like doing kittens crawling, right, or kittens pawing in the air. I don't really know clickbait, so help me out here if you want me to run one hypothetical. But if they did kittens clawing in the air, they would have, instead of wherever that video was, if that was on YouTube, they would have like sharks eating a leg as the thumbnail picture, and then they would have the kittens clawing at the air on the Twitch where the shark eating the leg was. That idea. And so they moved those around and tried this out. And so that what they discovered was the algorithm wasn't picking up the words. What it was picking up was the visual element tied to a hashtag. They used all the same hashtags in every single video. And the algorithm then spit out a run of features. So basically on YouTube, it was the #1 video. Even though it said that it was a shark attack, it was kittens pawing at the air, and the comments went insane. People were yelling at this person who posted this because they were like, I was looking for a shark attack and you give me fucking kittens. What are you doing? And that cycled it again. And so what they discovered was the engagement was really the clickbait got that first feature, but what really kept it going was the engagement. And it didn't have to be good engagement. It just was people yelling at them saying, this is not a shark attack, And so what they did with that is they ran a live stream Twitch, and then they posted that onto YouTube. And they used all the words and all the pictures and thumbnails that they could figure out. And the YouTube video did worse than the Twitch video because it wasn't live. So they figured out also that live was another trigger. So being live was very important as well. And so in doing those three things simultaneously, the clickbait picture, the thumbnail, and the hashtags, and the live aspect, they were getting the most engagement and the most cycling of being featured on whatever channel or whatever social media they were on. And so the clickbait thing only works for people looking for it for the first time, and they have to be looking for it. So, and yeah, I get it. There's probably millions of people looking for kitten stuff. I get it. And shark stuff too. I get it. But that only takes it so far. You have to do the other elements to keep it going. Otherwise, it'll plateau. And once it plateaus, YouTube buries it. They will bury it fast. I know this from total experience. Like I had a video that was going good and it plateaued after 3 days, stopped getting views, and it got buried. It was actually cycling on a feature. I had a couple videos featured without using, I used thumbnail and hashtags, but it wasn't clickbait. So it's possible. But the idea of keeping it going was the toughest aspect of that idea. And so they would have to, what they would have to do is they would change the hashtags and change the thumbnail. I mean, this is a full-time job to keep these videos going and keeping them viral and keeping them moving. But the other thing is that once it gets to 100 views, it most likely will get to 200, 300, 400, 500 to 1,000 very, very quickly. And once you get to the thousands threshold, if you get to the millions, you've done all the work you need to do anyway. That's as far as you're going to go anyway. So, and you're just going to get pennies on the dollar from, the random ones that come in after that. So there is merit to the clickbait idea, but it's not sustainable in the fact that not everything that gets the clickbait put behind it works. You have to sometimes do the formula. And I just found that fascinating. So I don't know if that helps anybody or gives anybody hope, but anyway, so that's what I got on algorithms. Anybody want to say anything about that? Everybody, I guess, did a chorus of "Damn it, Joe." Thanks, Katie. I appreciate that. But yeah, there's a method to this madness, and I'm not going to stop trying. And and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. I just like it. I just like to do it so much. And if I'm the only one that gets enjoyment out of it, I guess I'm the only one that gets enjoyment out of it. I've kind of reserved myself on TikTok for that reason, and it's kind of been freeing, actually, to be quite honest. On TikTok, I can just be silly and goofy and do weird shit and have fun with it and amuse myself, basically. And I don't really care if it gets 100 views to 10 views. I'm just having fun with it. And so I'm using that platform for that. And I put some going stuff up there every once in a while, but it's such a pain in the ass because I use my fucking phone. Using my fucking phone with these fucking fingers, man, I tell you, Instagram is such a bitch for me. It's just so difficult because I know to do I can do a very good Instagram post. I've done it. I put it out there. But it takes so much of my time because I got these fucking fingers, and then I gotta search the goddamn, hashtags, which ones are working now, and I gotta search. Then I gotta make sure that I've got the right people tagged, and doing that. And then I gotta type their fucking name, and some of them are longer than the alphabet, and it's just like, holy shit, man! Typing on this phone. And then then I got to take the video or the picture and download it, put it in my drive, download it to my phone, or use my phone to take the video and the picture. And yeah, it's a never-ending nightmare as far as I'm concerned. Yes, I know that you can do it on your computer. I know there's programs that do that, but I also know that those are shadowed more than they're not. And so if you want to be seen, you got to do it the way they ask you to do it, which on your phone. It's just fact of the app. It's just the way it works. And there's been proof of concepts on this too. So, I mean, you can at me if you want, but I'm telling you, truthfully, I know that for a fact that I've done both ways, and the ones that I do on my phone have been more authenticated by the app and been much more appreciated and pushed than the ones I haven't. So, yeah, if you want to spend hours every week tweaking your description and reloading videos that capped out to different videos, then you can win it. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, right? It's just like, who wants to bear that burden? That's a full-time job. how many fucking full-time jobs do you want to saddle me with? You know, that's why I turned to Twitter. That's what I turned to Twitter for. I screw around there and say stupid shit because I know no one can hear me. It's free. You should try, Katie. I'm waiting for your non-reaction videos. I think I'm waiting for those. Are you gonna do some of those? You mentioned that you were gonna do those. That would be great. I think you'd be awesome at it. We could do like dueling ones where I react to everything and you react to nothing. Huh? No, just putting it out there. I'm happy to do that. I know I've got to do some things with Mr. Brian Tan. We've talked about it, but I just haven't had a time. He hasn't had a time, so it's just like, you got to have time to do this shit. It's the one thing I value more than money, almost. I mean, my time to me is so fucking precious right now because I want to keep writing. I want to keep making films. I want to put a film together, you know, and I want to keep going now on top of all that. And so it's just like, whew, I mean, the ones I do on TikTok, they take me. I've kind of mastered the art of getting in and out and taking little as time as possible. And maybe that shows, and that's probably more likely why my videos don't hit than me being a goofball and just having fun with it. I probably, I probably, if I put the same effort I put into YouTube videos and things like that, I probably would do quite well on TikTok. But it's just another full-time job I don't need. Ali accuses me of picking fights on Twitter, but honestly, I let loose and enjoy there. That's what Twitter's there for. I think people like to do those things on Twitter. I need to learn TikTok. I don't get it yet. Teach me, Obi-Wan. Oh, wow, I'm not Obi-Wan. But I'll show you what I do know, I guess. I mean, we can play around with it. I don't have a problem with that as long as it, again, doesn't take up all of my time. But you know, but for some people, if you're willing to put in the work, I'll be willing to put in the work. I mean, Brian and I have talked about it, and I think we would do some. We've talked about some really fun stuff that we should do, and I got to hit him up on that. But anyway, so I don't know if you guys really give a shit about this or not, but it's kind of something that I've always been around my whole life because the pageantry of it and the idea of it. My mom was really into it, and then all of my friends who are artists and such all got into it, and so it's kind of this spectacle idea, and that's award season for film. Film awards have become, you know, just an absolute atrocious train wreck. And earlier this week, NBC has pulled their support of the Golden Globes. They have decided never to air them again. That's what they claim, or until the Golden Globes changes their board and does a complete 180, maybe 360, maybe 720, really, and changes their archaic policies, their archaic ways, and how they vote, and all these things. And of course, the presentation that they're presenting. NBC pulled out, and that left Golden Globes with no home, and nobody else wanted to take them on. There's no bidding war for them. The Academy Awards are not far behind. I can just tell you that right now. It is coming. These things are almost sold and bought on the open market. That's how incredibly, just not corrupt is the wrong word, because it's not corrupt. It's more altruistic, maybe. A little bit self-centered. I don't know. It's almost, and the prestige of them is kind of dying too, and that's because, and this is what they claim, because these actors want to act. They want to actually do something. So what do they go do when they want to act? What do they do? Can you guess? Anybody got a guess? I'll wait a second if you want to guess. What do they do when they want to act? Where do they go? Come on, somebody guess. I want to see you guess. Come on, indulge me. Just throw something wild out there. I don't care. I want to see somebody get it. I'm gonna sit here like 20 minutes and nobody's gonna respond, right? Because nobody gives a shit. Uh, and I really shouldn't either. But and I really feel like, you know, the cool elements of what the prestige and the mystique of these award shows were have it was horrifically boring at the Oscars. I can't see your name. I'm gonna guess that is I'm not even guessing it, but you all are cruel. Why would you do that to me? Why would you draw it out? Why would there be awkward silence? You guys, that's mean. I'm not mean to you all. I've never been mean to any of you. Why would you be mean to me? Uh, but have you met me? Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know which one I'm leaning towards at this very moment. Um, they go and do indie films. Christ, you made me say it without guessing. Thanks a lot. Very nice of you all. They go and do indie films, and of course, because they've earned this accreditation that they call it of being an Academy Award nominee or winner or Golden Globe nominee or winner, because it helps the film's marketing. The studios or their agents or their managers. Hi, Darla. Nice. All right, welcome, Darla. It's nice to see you. Uh, it's Darla Ray. Everybody, he's the Facebook user, the mysterious Facebook user. But it is this distinction they have to place upon every time that they've used these actors who've been nominated, who've won. And really, I mean, so many nominees are out there making movies now. It's like, I don't know if you're going to get a film without a nominee in it, really. If you're putting out something that you want Hollywood to grab a hold of anyway. And but everybody likes the guys of the indie realm, and they like the idea of the indie-ness in because it's craft. They're doing their craft. They're doing what they love. They're finding that love. It's kind of like, playing a sport that they loved, that they've become a super pro at, and they just go back onto the playground and play it one day because just for the love of it, right? And so it's that kind of thing that they try to capture. They love, because indie films are so rich. They're so involved. They have so much to give for an actor, especially. It's kind of the realm that they all, want to hone in and play around, and they've got rope and room to do that. And so it's an amazing realm for them to go into. And so, but then you've got the Indie Spirit Awards, who used to be the maven and the patriarch for declaring, who's hot next, who is really on fire, who's really doing some great indie stuff that you've never seen. It used to be, when I watched the Independent Spirit Awards, that's where I would go to see a bunch of movies I haven't seen, because I would always look at the nominee list and go, you know what? Half of those movies I've never seen before. That's awesome. I'm going to go check them out. Right now, it's like, can you give me a movie I haven't seen? I mean, I've seen all these movies, and they're bordering on not being indie as much as they are indie. It's they're not even. There's the fine line is diluted in most of those, and it's celebrating people who are celebrated all year long, and instead of giving the little guy the nod, it is kind of going back. If you kind of catch my going here in the circle, it's kind of going back to the algorithm thing. You're saying you're celebrating the little guy, but you're not really celebrating the little guy. You're celebrating the guys who figured out how to do what they needed to do to get to you, and for you to help them. But you're helping them because they played the game and they played your game, and that's what they do. So, you know, it's so hard to like anything these award shows are fucking doing. I went to an award show that really did celebrate. The Film Threat award this show. Hopefully, they post this year's award show, which was in a makeshift drive-in. It was fucking great. Hal Sparks was there, everybody. I'm going to name drop. Hal Sparks was there. He was the big celebrity. But it was really cool. It was what I remember about the Independent Spirit Awards. I was the guy who watched the Independent Spirit Awards. I didn't watch the Oscars. I went to the Oscar party, but most of the time I had already predicted what was going to happen. So I was drinking and having fun. I didn't really give a shit about the award show. The speeches were kind of cool, though. There were some cool speeches. Matthew McConaughey, I still don't know what the fuck he was talking about. But it's just, there's just not those things. It's just not enough of those moments. There's just not enough of that anymore. That magic, that spectacle. So, I mean, what we're learning about our world and how it is now is, as the CDC is telling us we can get back to some kind of normal, is that there isn't that anymore. It's changed. It's forever changed. And I really feel like in that respect, so should everything else that's going on. And we should go back to our roots and embrace our roots a little bit. That's what I think. Let's see what the chat is talking about, because it's blowing up, and I think it's just Katie and Rebecca making fun of me. But let's see. We're trying to teach you how to be mean. Duh, it's our love language. Cattle prods and sarcasm. Sometimes lemon juice and criticism. All right. Ooh, Rebecca, you are so evil. And Darla says, Independent Spirit Awards are no longer for true indie movies. Sadly, it's for the rich actors now. Yeah, it's their cool award show. It's the one where they get to wear jeans and their fucking Ray-Bans. And I'm just surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see, like, over the next few years, like it's a NASCAR event where they have like a jacket where they have patches of sponsors, or they're promoting their movie in the back of their jacket. It's just that kind of thing. Well, I am a publisher. Agreed. I don't know which one statement I said there to agree, but just so you know, I'm literally Googling how to TikTok right now. I seriously don't know how to play on this platform. At Rebecca Jonesy, which is why I never became a publisher. I'm just not that evil. LOL, I can't wait to see your videos, Katie. 85% tops. Being a publisher makes you evil. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. Well, I've enjoyed you as a publisher, so if you're evil, I guess I just gravitate towards evil. I like evil. I'm the guy who roots for the bad guy in the movies, right? That kind of thing. But anyway, I was going to do a live tag, but I really only have 12 minutes left. So I don't know. Is that something you guys want to see me do? Talk about books for a little bit? To give you some book tags. I have to go to my screen here because I wrote them all down over here, but I promise I'll make it as seamless as possible. Anyway, so Margaret Pignard did a wonderful tag that she was tagged by. It was a books and cocktails tag, or I don't know what the cafe and cocktails tag. What is a tag? A tag game. Okay, so a tag game is basically you're asked a bunch of questions that have a subsequent, subject matter. They're basically related. They relate back to books. For example, the first tag in this grouping was, so they're using the names of drinks like I do with Joe's Bar, and then attaching a context to them based on a book. For example, the first one is an old fashioned. And so they ask, within that being old fashioned, what is your favorite historical fiction recommendation? What is the book you're going to recommend? What is your favorite historical fiction? And so my answer to that tag would be, and there's 11 tags here, so 11 11 questions that are make it a tag game. And then afterwards, you're supposed to tag people, which I'm not going to do tonight unless you really want to be tagged. If you want to do the game, I'll write the questions down into the description here after the show, and you can grab it and play the game and post your video if you want to do that. I don't know if you can do it on TikTok, Katie, because you probably would be a little bit pontificating. Um, so old-fashioned historical fiction recommendation, mine would be Anatomy of a Darkened Heart by Christy Stratos. I said it earlier in a interview that I was watching with her on Quill and Ink, I think is the name of the podcast. It's Miranda O and Jenna Green, two wonderful people who do a wonderful job. I haven't watched the show in a long time, and Christy was on it, and I was just happening, I was sick, so I was just fooling about and saw it, and so I actually got to watch it. And I mentioned, to her that this is one of my favorite books of all time, not just of historical fiction fashion, but it's certainly one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite historical fiction because I don't read a lot of historical fiction, to be quite frank. But then it was a Sidecar, book with a strong supporting character. So I guess it doesn't really have to be a book you like. I guess I don't really endorse this book all that much, but it has probably one of the best side characters. I mean, other than the one that everybody would probably name Lotr. But for me, I think that kind of is the it's probably Huckleberry Finn. I think that the side characters in that are so well defined. It's a terribly racist and horribly misogynistic book. And I'm not a really big Mark Twain guy, but for me, just thinking about that's the one that comes to mind right off the top of my head. I promise I have better ones than that one. But so then the next is the Manhattan, which is your favorite book set in New York. And my favorite book set in New York is actually a nonfiction book, but it is a humor book, and it's called The Year of Living Biblically by A.J. Jacobs. It is him literally taking the Bible and living as the Bible has written. And I think he does Old Testament. I think he makes a distinction between old and new, but he takes on Old Testament and he tries to live in modern day New York in his loft, in his place, with the rules of the Bible applying. It is hilarious. It is fascinating, and it is just the most ridiculous, outlandish thing I've ever read. I really enjoyed that. And so I would definitely recommend that one. So Bloody Mary, Serving Up a Bloody Mary is next. Book that scared or messed you up. Probably the book that probably messed me up the most. I could say In Cold Blood, but it didn't mess me up. It kind of inspired me and intrigued me. But I would have to say Helter Skelter. Just learning all the intricacies and weird fucking shit that went on with that cult and that group, and the man himself, Charles Manson, and all that he was about, and everything that was going on. I was not alive when this happened, or I was very young, I believe, when Sharon Tate died. In fact, yeah, I think I was a year old. But it's crazy, how it all just kind of was this master plan, and it's crazy. And I just I had to put it down a couple times. I couldn't believe it. I've never really had another book do that to me. So the next one is Espresso Martini, the book that kept you reading into the night. I'm gonna go with the most recent one that I've read that kept me into the night, and that was Moss and Clay by Rebecca Jonesy. Uh, once it took me a long time to get going, as it does with every book I read. But once it got to like chapter 5 or 6, I just felt like it was like kismet. I was really into it. I was in a zone, and I was reading a lot more than I had ever read in a long time. So that book really helped me get back to reading. And I now take time every Sunday to read. I do that. I have done that since I started reading Moss and Clay, or at least since I picked it back up. I started reading it in 2020, and I had lapses there. But then in 2021, I made a commitment to myself that I want to read more, and I want to have the knowledge at the end of the year of books, to talk more about books, because that's a lot of my audience out there. Because I feel like my top fives are manufactured by just the 6 books I read more than the books I really like. Although this last year I really found really 5 really great books. But Moss and Clay is an older book, and of course, also the idea is to start to make dents into my TBR a little bit, and I'm starting to do that. JD Estrada is next. I'm into the human cycle. I'm beginning of that. I am also going to be doing a review of a novella or a short story-ish thing based on something I've already talked about. If you can figure that out, maybe put 2 and 2 together. But you'll see my review on Sunday on This Week in Indies for that book. I just breezed through that thing, but it was only a few pages. So, all right. So the next is Sazerac. Sazerac. I don't know what a Sazerac is. That's the one drink I was not sure of. But a book that left you disoriented. Probably not something I want to drink if it just disorients me. But that would be Choke by Chuck Palahniuk. I think that's how you say his name correctly. This is not Chuck's finest work. Obviously, Fight Club's. I'm partial to Fight Club, but this book is just a mess. It's an absolute mess. It's a train wreck, and I could not stop like going back. I kept going back to kind of find my place again, because I was like, wait, did we skip like 4 years? Did we go backwards too? I mean, it was fucking crazy, you know? So that was a book that I really didn't get, I guess. Long Island Iced Tea, book that is doing too much. Bonus point if it works anyway. Well, this book didn't work for me as much as I've read it 3 times. Once for school, which got the teacher in trouble, and the second time because I had a girlfriend that was really into this author, and so of course she was into it, so I had to be into it. And then I read it a third time, thinking, did I miss something the first 2 times? Because everybody talks about it. So I thought, well, maybe I'll give it another shot. And that's Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. This book is just too much. It's just too much. It's too much politics. It's too much religious spiritualism. It's too much communism doctrine. It's too much. It's just too much of everything. Everything about this book is so overindulgent and so large. And it is a big fucking book. Oh my God, it's so big. It is a cockroach killer for sure. And it is just, blah. There's a lot of nothing in it, in my personal opinion. That's my personal thoughts on it. But I know a lot of people love that book, and a lot of people religiously really like that book. So more to you, I guess. Negroni, the book with a love triangle. So I went back to Chuck because I feel like it was unfair to Chuck. So I said Fight Club. Fight Club has one of the greatest triangles, if you can call it that, love triangles I've ever read in a book. It's the most clever way to create a love triangle. Let's put it that way. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you've not seen the movie or read the book, the movie really doesn't do the triangle justice either. Really, the book really fucking gets crazy into it. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I thought it was amazing. So that is the book I would say It has the best love triangle. All right. Babe Breeze book with light, chill, heartwarming vibes. I almost chose Charlotte's Web, but then Charlotte's Web has kind of an ending that not so heartwarming. But so I changed. I kind of did a veer off and changed it to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. This is a book that I remember so fondly. I can almost recite paragraphs from this book. I know it so well, and it's fantastic. I think it's must read for any child because it explores so many things that I think children are going to deal with a little bit later on in their life, preteen ish things. And I also think it just has this magical, whimsical idea to it that is just fascinating, a little bit weird, and a little bit eccentric. And I think there's something wrong with that if you're a kid, right? I think you gotta explore that sometimes. And I think this book just lets loose. And I really appreciated that about this book. Dark and Stormy. Have you ever had a Dark and Stormy? Anybody out there? Dark and Stormy is a very interesting drink. Rum with some ginger beer, and I think it's a lime, if I'm not mistaken, or triple sec maybe even. But really good. Those are really good. But they got to be made right because if you don't get the ratio right, it's kind of ugh. But Shattered by Dean Koontz is the book. It's the idea is Dark and Stormy, that dark, thrilling, menacing book. Bonus points if it's settling matches. I don't know what that means, but anything with ginger beer. Yeah, I think you would dig it, Katie. I know you're a Moscow Mule fan, so it's the opposite end of that, but it's very it's nice. I when it's made right, it's pretty good. Shattered by Dean Koontz is my answer for the Dark and Stormy. This is a book that I read when I was 8, 9 years old, I think maybe. It was me catching up to Dean Koontz because that was the first book I remember ever buying on its release day. I actually bought it the day it was released, which I think was 84, 85, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look that up. But so that would have been 10 or 11 at that point. But this book fucking just rocked me. I was like, whoa, this is so fucking cool. And I had just finished Edgar Allan Poe stuff. So this was kind of Dean Koontz's tribute to Edgar Allan Poe, if you didn't know. He often says that in interviews. He kind of was reading Telltale Heart in making this book, and he kind of had this idea of, what if the guy who was Telltale Heart was following you, or the person that the guy thought was Telltale Heart was following you, and it's just really it's fascinating. It's the quickest Dean Koontz read probably out there, and it's probably his most easiest book to read, I think, because he can get weird and just off, and he's been off on a lot of stuff. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of his totally. I then read Whispers, and then the Eye Vision or whatever that one Vision. I think it's just called Vision. Both of those sucked, so I wasn't a big fan of that. So, but that's all right. Then there's the Martini, and I had asked Margaret in her feed if the person who created this tag was into film, because it's pretty clever to end and Darla, you'll get this if you're still watching out there. But it's pretty clever to end a drink tag game with the martini instead of starting the game with the martini. Why? Because that's a filmmaker's term, the martini shot. And I explained it for people who don't know what a martini shot was. So the martini shot is the very last shot that you do on a film production day. So it's the very last thing you're going to do during a production. It's the last shot. And then it got its name famously. This is something that happened in the 30s, 40s, golden age of cinema. It got its name famously because everybody got pretty hammered at the after party because partying back then was a lot of what you did in movies, and still probably pretty prevalent, to be quite honest. And I've been to some rap parties that have been pretty wild. But they called it a martini shot because that's what everybody drank in the 30s and 40s. So that's and it's the one you can raise your glass to too. A lot of toasting goes on with the martini. So that is the books and drinks tag. I don't know what the cocktails and uh, books. So there you go. My first tag I've done in probably 3 or 4 years. So that's a tag game, Katie, for anybody else out there who's never seen it before. Basically, I just took 11 random drinks and the questions that were associated with those drinks and gave you my favorite books based on that. I could do it with movies too, but I've rambled on quite a bit already. With that being said, I think there's a lot of makes me so happy knowing that you're reading again. Awesome. I appreciate it. I appreciate you putting out a book that made me want to read. That's really amazing. It's an amazing book, everybody. Moss and Clay. It's a way to start a series. And I can tell you, Clay and Blood is just taking me for a loop already. I'm going to get back into that one as well. But I wanted to get into JD's series too. So I'm going to try and probably alternate. But anything with ginger beer, nice. Yeah, I already answered that actually. But anyway, guys, so that's all I got to rant about and talk about. I hope we had some fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for everybody who stuck around and who played along and made fun of me and teased me, because I still love you no matter what, and I'm not going to be mean. I'm just going to be nice about it. Kill you with kindness. That's how I look at it. But with that being said, I also know that it's always time to go indie now. Come join us on Sunday, noon Eastern time, when we do This Week in Indies. We're actually going to be talking about how much help you've received as an author and what it looks like when somebody offers you help, and how much of it is empty, how much of it is bullshit, how much of it is truth. And that's what we're going to talk about on the roundtable discussion. It was a very interesting article. It was sent to me by my good friend Vanessa, and Vanessa Gunta, and it's a great article. I'll post the link in This Week in Indies so everybody can follow along and check it out, and then come and talk about it at noon Eastern on Sunday. We've got that going on. I also will be doing a review of a film and a book from two of my favorites. So I'm really excited about that. And CL Cannon also will have an indie connection, which I don't know why anybody would miss those, especially if you're looking for books to read. She's going to hook you up. So come by and see us and hang out. We got a great panel. I've got Amy, I got AJ Mulligan, I've got Nikki Nelson Hicks with me. I've got Alexander Gideon and a newcomer, Ronald Long, to come and be a part of our roundtable. And like I said, I will be doing the reviews this week, and then you might see JD and some other people, hopefully, because I know you all can't get enough of this beautiful face and this wonderful person that I am. But there is such a thing as too much show. I think there is. Yeah. Damn it, show. All right. It's always time to go indie now, everybody. Take care. See you on the other side.